Easter egg shaped ones. I don't know why the
Those are
ratio
nice.
is just really.
But they're good, yes, the good peanut butter filled by, but yes, it's very
But
good.
especially when it's in the foil and not the little plastic, but it's good everywhere.
Bottom,
My name is Makai. I was gonna say decaf, specifically the espresso flavor, but if not, then I would say whether some cans.
you are with the Werthers. All right, so next thing that we're gonna do is we're just gonna go around and read this poem as pieces, so like we'll read each of the haikus. There are 9 people sitting down, and there are 9 haikus, so we'll start. Is somebody else? We'll start with Rashida again, and we'll just go around the same direction that we did. So you can count, if you're like me, when I was in school, I used to want to count which one I could read, so I know I could read it. That was a little trick I did, so you can figure out which one you're reading. And, so this is high school by Etheridge.
One, Eastern Guard Tower glints in sunset, convicts rest like lizards on rocks.
The piano man is singing at 3 a.m. His songs drop like pop.
3. Morning sun slants south. Drunks stagger like triple flies. On Joe House.
4. To write a blues song, it's the regiment riots and plug gems from graves.
Am I number 5?
Yeah.
A bare pecan tree slips a pencil shadow down a moonlight snow slope.
6. The falling snowflakes cannot blunt the hard aches nor match the steel stillness.
7. Under moon shadows, a tall boy flashes knife, slices star bright.
In the August grass, struck by the last rays of sun, the cracked teacup screams.
Making jazz swing in 17 syllables.
That's my favorite.
Lovely reading, you all. Thank you so much. I love hearing like a poem in multiple voices. Something about it, I don't know, like each voice adds some character to the poetry. Anybody just have anything, like we're not gonna do any like deep literary analysis. Anybody have any line or anything that just stood out to you that you were just like, oh, I really liked this part, or this part really just hit me?
I really like 9. It's always like my favorite, but today I think I heard number 1, and maybe I hadn't heard it before. Like I've read it, but it didn't resonate. But the lizards on the rocks and the convicts resting, I think something about that really resonated with me, whereas it didn't stick with me before. And that's what I like about poetry, is that one day you can see something that you don't see.
Anybody else have things to stick out? That we like?
I really like the line, the cracked teacup screams. I don't know why.
I underline that too. Well, the Japanese, and I can't remember what it is, the technique, but when you take gold and repair something, and it becomes better than it was before because of that crack. I think that's what it made me think about.
Yeah.
Any others? Yeah.
I also really like the first one, like Lizards on Rocks, and mostly because I can't remember the poet's name, but at like a camp I did a while ago, we were talking about different, like using words to say different things, and I just remembered how like the word lizard was used about the grass was lizarding, and I just really like that, and it's just like that sort of comparison is just really, it's always really cool to me, so I really like that one.
Yeah, depending on what element you choose, like it gives it a whole new meaning. So like the grass lizarding, I could see that now too.
Yeah.
Like
Versus like lizards, yeah.
right. Any other takers? I always like regimenting riots. Man, like something about that line, like to regiment riots and pluck gems from graves. Like, yeah, to bring something back from the dead, to make something that's disorderly into order. Very interesting to me. All right, so now, we're gonna try our hand at some haiku. As Chen so graciously explained to us, you have 5 syllables, 5 syllables. If that structure is a little too tight for you, you could stick to like what Etheridge Knight says in that line, making jazz swing in 17 syllables, ain't no square poet's job. Somewhere around 17 syllables, or just a really short snippet. But the goal, more than just sticking to a syllable count, is to think about like showing us a very vivid image, a very vivid idea. In writing a haiku. So we have a couple of options because we know some people like prompts, some people, I tell them to write a haiku, they're already writing it. That's good. You can go with you and your haiku. For others, a little prompt helps to get us going. So Rashida had this wonderful idea about a prompt. To what's the first one? I see now I'm already remember. So you gotta be mindful of this.
So, have a text message, conversation be your prompts for writing a haiku. So you're gonna finish the text message conversation as a haiku. The other one is to think about a conversation that you've had or message that you sent or email, whatever it may be. And that's something that you wish you didn't send.
So you could take it back.
So you take it back. And the other one is something that you wish you could send. So have that.
Something you wish you could send. And think about like what Etheridge Knight does in this haikus too, like using that visual imagery. He's very deep into the person and the people and the character, but also like the woods around them, the nature, the ice, the lizards, the grass, you know, those all appear. So think you can also draw on those two. So we'll give about 10 minutes to just try our hand at some haiku. You can use one of the prompts, you can try your own, but the goal is just something real short. 575 if you can, if that feels good to you. Or 4-10-3, I don't know, you know. Thank you for the time. Oh. Somebody help on that. I don't Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
Wrong bag.
Now you gave me one.
Oh, does somebody have this?
Yes.
Add to keep one on me. Yes, I was gonna say, I usually do too, because I have to have my pencil to pen ratio too. I don't always write pen. I'm not that confident to start with the pen.
Same, that's why I asked.
Especially when you're counting too, you gotta count it.
Yes.
Yeah. At first I thought, but I feel like. Maybe like. Yeah, but I still want to, yeah, look like you're apart. So.
I feel like if you're so far back here.
Yeah, I remember y'all. I like to be able to see it.
Everybody do like the eye contact.
Yeah, I want to see it.
So I think on the side, here, it'll be good.
Put that wherever it gets you all.
And then, but also, yeah. Can we also get this stance? Yeah.
How are we gonna build, how are we gonna build our circle? Are we gonna have, we're gonna have open there and then come around
Yeah.
here and kind of like a U shape?
Yeah.
And then me and April over there?
Yep, that's what we're.
Yeah, you're right there. And then everybody else can come like a U, right? Yeah. Yeah. I was trying to stop it before this morning.
And if you get one and we still have time left, feel free to try to write some more, you know? Maybe continue the story, continue the message that you should have unsent, or maybe that you want to send. The beauty that you want to share.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, it's supposed to be, uh, 575, but it's not. Word, number of words is numbers of syllables.
Syllables. Mhm.
Oh, okay, okay, thank you.
Yep, the syllable count, yep. About 2 minutes, so
Yeah, one. Yeah.
Again, you can, if you want to add, regardless, recount. But you know, my man, I always be mad at him.
Things on the tables, you guys can take on the touch, so we really want to see a person.
All right, so for the last little bit of time that we have, in a little bit, I know that people are still enjoying, the space out there. But soon there'll be a programmatic piece and some other things happening, some readings. So we hope that you enjoy some music, as you see them getting food up and, ready, some dance. Sorry about that. But, before we go, I want to see if anybody would like to share what they came up with for their haiku or haikus or. Yeah, Ms. Laura, sorry.
All right. He speaks from the grave. Words rise like smoke. Above. Entering our heart. I don't know. I kind of,
Oh, the red words will, the smoke, so it's like smoke above us, entering our hearts.
that's
Yeah.
the 7, and then the 5,
Entering
our
our
heart
hearts.
and mine.
Oh, in mine.
Is the 5.
I love it.
Okay.
I love it. Wait, words like, sometimes we gotta take a moment with the line from the poem. Words rise like smoke above us. I love it. Love it. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Other people. Yes. Jen.
Well, I titled mine Sunshine.
Ooh, I love it.
Nice.
I'm so glad the sun is back
Oh, yeah.
after long months away from us.
Okay, so mine goes rain, clouds, thunderstorms. Bad news, sad tunes always come, but yet the sun shines.
Yes.
Nice.
Love it.
Nice.
Others, as many as want to share can. We look, nobody's rushing us, so take your time. No, I'm just looking down. I'm just looking down the road to see if I don't want to leave.
She felt attacked.
anyone out. I'm not putting you out there.
I'll read one of mine. And I'm not a poet, but I do love poetry.
Okay.
Winter is fallow, frost on the ground, hard and cold, hope springs eternal.
I love it.
Nice.
See, we got some, sometimes the minds start speaking to each other. Yeah, I feel like the very same thing, the sunshine. I love it. I love also the play on like the hope springs eternal. It's like nice to take a well-known line. Sometimes like when we're writing in classrooms, we're often told like, don't use those lines anymore. But there's a reason why like people
It
say those
resonates,
things,
'cause it's
all
like-
hands on deck, they say those things because it resonates. But to get to there in a different way is always something that I find very beautiful. Yeah, lovely. Jenny.
Mine's also like vaguely sad. I guess context I'm from. I live up the coast of Lake Michigan, like right near there, a couple minutes drive. Then said, sun sets in the west, the lake is laughing of sand. I wanna go.
You're on your way, aren't you?
Nice.
Almost there.
Almost summer.
Almost there, almost beautiful. I love it. Love it.
It takes us there,
Mhm.
yes.
I miss it a lot. Oh,
Like I miss mom. Anyone else?
I have one. Um, Not as fun, but,
It's all right, we could turn it around.
um, thank you for telling me. I'm sorry, I don't deal with others' grief well.
I'm sorry, I don't what?
I don't deal with others' grief well.
Ooh, yeah, I like that. Was that a sent or unsent or
Want to send.
want to send? Yes, that's a good one. I love it. I love how poetry too. I love that we have all this like, beautiful imagery and the dichotomy of like when it is thunderstorming and then when the sun comes out. But it also takes us to rough places and beautiful places. I think that's what Etheridge Knight, his work does the best, better than any poet I really know, of like being both beautiful and difficult at the same time, and like within the same space, within the same poem, and not shying away from either of the things. Like, this is really hard. I'm talking about, hard things, but I'm also talking about beautiful things right next to it, and you can't escape either, which I really love. Well, if no one else wants to share, I want to make sure, going once.
I do want to share that
Yes.
one of the reasons that Mr. Knight started doing haiku is because Gwendolyn Brooks said he was a little too verbose, and that haikus would kind of parse him down a little bit. And so just want to bring in that connection that she was his mentor, and it's just always important to kind of speak those names.
Thank you, Michelle, resident librarian, so, and historian, and I think poet, like honestly, because all that you do is literally, you have it in your soul, and it always, whenever I've heard the writing that you've done, I'm like, okay, clearly there's there's a little calling that's been missed, but I know you have a lot of callings, so, so you're like, I gotta put some to the side, but I will say, thank you so much for bringing that up, because I do think that is beautiful, like, because Etheridge Knight, and I think that's why I've gravitated both to Gwendolyn Brooks and Etheridge Knight, because he has been one of my poetic mentors. I didn't start reading his work till after he had passed, so like I didn't know
But
him.
they can still mention.
But because of that same thing, like I'm a narrative poet, and I find that he is a very narrative poet as well. He wants to tell you a story about when he went here, when he came here. But I used to just want to tell a story, and they'd be like, "Well, you need to go write some fiction, ma'am. Rose is over there." But I was like, "No, I want to be a poet." And his work has always guided me in that way. So to think about that being passed down from Gwendolyn Brooks to like, here, try this form that might help you get at the nugget, and you can still see he's a storyteller, but he's getting at that imagery so beautifully. Other things, thoughts, concerns? Yeah, share. I knew you wanted to share. You were just looking like you wanted to.
But yeah, anyway, if you play with fire, you might get burned. Play with me at your own discretion.
Whoa. Did you send that or did you want to?
I wanted to.
Okay. I think you should send it.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
I'll give you permission. Go ahead and send it. They probably need to hear that.
Sometimes people do need to hear those things.
I can show you better than I can tell you.
So.
We will be getting started in about 15 minutes. We got this workshop that's wrapping up, and when they get done, we're gonna come out there and bring you a wonderful
See, look how good we segue. Look at how good we did, y'all, because really it is our time is up. So feel free to hang out and check out the space, to write some more. If this moves you, motivated, you can take everything with you except for the colorful pens, because we should wants to have them. Everything else, the notebook, the pen is yours, the paper with the poem, thank you, is yours. So feel free. We have about 15 minutes. The way that they schedule it is about 15-minute break before sitting and listening to some good, lovely work. So if you can, hang out, stay around and listen to the work of some more poets. So other folks share some of Mr. Knight's work, as well as do some other artistic expression. I'm not exactly sure that everything that's happening, but I do know it's all gonna be good. So thank you so much for this. Oh, it's a bow,
Thank you.
Very welcome.
I like the way that he doesn't just use the traditional nature
Yes.
that haiku does. He goes outside of that. But I'm thinking nature because I'm a gardener, and so my tulips have come up, and my crocuses did, my hyacinths, and I'm working on the other things.
Cause I'm a city girl, so I never lean into the nature and imagery. But I think sometimes his work taught me that like nature is more than just like where you are, like in the tree line place or whatever. Like nature is always,
'Cause
like we
rocks
are nature.
and
Rocks
concrete,
and
right,
concrete.
yeah.
And all, even the wood that we're building our buildings, like all of those things are part of nature. And I think that he always like really, even when he's not talking about nature, he often will drop in a natural element. Like, so the one about the piano man, he doesn't say anything about nature, but then he says like a plum. So he always like tries to pluck something that's a natural, what we can traditionally say, well, like a natural image in it. But also he reminds me too that like the body is nature, like my very self is part of nature. Even though like I can get into nature sometimes. I was a creek walking girl when I was a kid, growing up near Fall Creek, but I wouldn't always relate to the poems that were like very pastoral and like, they're out on some large land. I was like, no, that's not what we're looks like. But he always brought me back to the fact that no, you do live in nature. You're part of that too.
Right. And nature is all around
It's
us,
all
even in the
around us.
urban environment.
Exactly.
The flower, the rose that grew from concrete.
Absolutely. Exactly.
Wait, who wrote that one?
That was too bad.
Yeah.
This institute, how is this pronounced?
Taproot. Thank you for asking. That's the one that we would always say, like, I was like, yeah, the one y'all probably have seen the sign and you don't know, it's okay.
Thank you so much. I got a lot from this. Yeah.
Very welcome. This is always a delight and a treat. And anything with Etheridge Knight, because I feel like he's followed me through my poetic life. The first poem that I published another poem before that, but the first poem that I felt like was ever really just me and not so guided by somebody else that it, almost wasn't my own, like that I had published was a poem after Etheridge Knight's work. And before I even knew his history, like I knew a little bit from like what I read in the poetry. And then I didn't at that time, I don't think I knew his history from in Indiana or anything like that. And so like throughout my life, his work has followed me. So any opportunity to teach it or to share it or to just like celebrate it,
right?
I could just sit around and do that all day.
His favorite poem of mine is Idea of Ancestry.
And that's the one that I wrote after that. The Idea of Ancestry. I wrote this poem called My Father's Keeper because he's writing about being in prison and like looking at the wall and the pictures and the things that he has. And so I wrote a poem from the perspective of a child whose parent is in prison. Because when I was young, my dad was in prison. And so when I read that poem, I felt also instantly connected to my father. And my father was still living at that time. And he knew about Etheridge Knight, but I don't know that he ever told me. I was like, did you know this poem? He's like, yeah, I knew about it, but like I felt so connected because felt like I was writing from the other side, like the perspective of those who are left behind when the person goes away. And that, of course, when the person goes away, they're the forgotten. They're the one who's like dropped out of life. And that's kind of what he talks about in that. And like, still being connected to that family tree, even though
it's that
removed,
dammed up and he's not able to get to them and he feels that call.
He feels that call, like back to the family. And I was just like, from the other side, like feeling that call back, like, no,
to your dad.
It's missing. It's like, you can't, don't discount ever how much everybody on the outside is missing, even if we don't write like we should, or even if we don't like, call. In the poem that I wrote, I talk about my dad calling and us being like, we don't want to talk, like you just bring you down, like your kid, you want to talk to your dad in prison, but also I would have been devastated if he stopped calling,
right?
So, and I'm sure those times he probably felt like just us being like, okay, hi dad, and like, but that, that I really wanted that connection, even though, and it was just so hard because of this,
and so many people are incarcerated in the United States, more than any other country, and Black Americans are such a higher percentage of our regular population. And we know that anything that is examined is going to be then vilified. So you're going to find a crime.
Absolutely.
You're going to find a problem. So that, if you get pulled over 2 times more than everybody else, then you're going to be convicted.
Absolutely.
And so we think about that, and you're talking about justice and restorative justice and, all of that. And it really
It
resonates.
absolutely,
Right.
yeah.
Esther Knight is part of my family. I'm a Knight. And so he has a poem where he is talking about his niece, wrote to him in block letters. And his niece was Kazi, and she was the kindest person you'd ever meet as an adult. So I imagine as a child, that
She
was
was so sweet.
that was already, her concern for him and missing him. That was already part of her expression.
Right, to him, to write him those letters, like even as and it's, certainly if you're a kind adult, you're probably a real kind child.
And only the photo that smiles at him.
Yeah, that's the one that smiles at him. That's the only photo that smiles in that poem. He says, yeah, it's on, he said all these faces and it's the only one smiling back at me.
47 faces, yeah.
Thank
Mhm.
you.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate
It is wonderful.
It says
I'm
a
so
lot.
glad to know that to be that.
Yeah.
And the fact that the name is reused, and that happens
Yes.
in my family as well.
Yes, yes.
and-
We all use, that's, I don't believe in naming a child without reusing somebody. You gotta pick somebody.
to have some continuity, so you can see a connection.
Some connection, like a middle name, a last name, or somebody.
Or something.
You gotta connect some kind of way. And yeah, all of us, like in my family, I always tell my daughter, you're a Lynn, because she's Zora Lynn.
Oh, I love
And
that.
and then so like I'm Ashley Lynn and my aunt is Cheryl Lynn.
Okay.
And so like I was like, do you know who else is a Lynn? Like so that she can
Have that
make that
connection.
connection, because my mom is Denise, and then she named my sister Erica Denise, and then I got my mom's sister's middle name.
Right.
So like, like all of us recycle, and then Layla's Layla Denise, and like if Zora has a child, Zora doesn't have to have any children. Now look, that's it. But if Zora does decide
She's
to have a
got
child,
to keep with that name and
somebody's
tradition.
somebody's name.
Was it the middle name Lynn?
Lynn, yep.
My mom's doing the same thing with my other sister.
My middle
It
name is
must be a
Lynn.
good middle name.
It is a good middle name.
It does
Also
flow.
nicely with
Yeah.
stuff like to Ashley Lynn and like, Zora Lynn, like,
Yeah, it has flows.
I love that. I love that. I'm gonna make my way out.
Yeah,
today.
we can make our
Thank
way
you,
to the
Mom.
other side so we can, so they know we're done and we're not holding it for sure. I don't want to be holding the program. But thank you all so much. This is so lovely. And also, I know they're gonna turn the screen over to that side too.
Thank you. We enjoyed it.
Oh, I so much enjoyed having you. Really.
It's me, Monica. Yeah, I've been running around. Good to see you. Good to see you. How'd you like the workshop? There are a bunch of pairs. Do not like separate.
Do not separate.
Wait, no.
Yeah, you did.
Sorry, hold on.
We joke that we're like a bonded pair of cats that like you have to adopt together, and the other one gets really sad. Okay.
You are headed out?
We have to head out. We got our final hour.
I'm so glad that you did. Very good. I'm so glad that y'all were able to, selfishly,
Yeah.
that the hour and a half was spent doing this.
No, me too. And then you were like workshop, and I was like,
That part, that's me.
I'm like, I've got to stay for an hour and a half anyway.
I'm so glad. I'm glad that y'all are finished with y'all, communication before 7:59 PM tomorrow night.
I told you about the email you got that.
I locked this in my car.
I wish they had it. What'd you say? So This is what we got for today.
Oh, we don't have the two?
They're down at OBC. What you thinking?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Everybody should be like in front of this, so I don't know.
Yeah, so what I'm thinking is that it's got pretty good, like I'm listening to it right now. It's picking me up from, hello? Yeah, like it's picking me up from like about right here. So I think like, I don't know. So I think, here's what I'll try to do first. I'm gonna see about just like setting it somewhere where it can hear whoever's speaking and figuring out where to position people so that they can be heard. Worst comes to the worst, I have both folded. Okay, the cord is long enough. I wish they had another music fan. What'd you say?
I don't think that's it's a part of it.
Okay. Oh, okay. Let me see if I can put this.
Yes, here.
My phone is over there, so I can't.
There's a note up there.
Yeah, I know the band.
Yeah. How you doing files? Are we reading them before they come up, or are we reading everybody's file?
I don't have one.
Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3. Test, test, test. Test, test, test. Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3. Test, test, test. 1, 2, 3. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. 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 Test, test, test. Okay, so you said there's going to be like an interview?
Yep.
Okay. So the way it's set up right now, I think if we can have them just like seated on either side of the mic, it should still be able to pick them up. Yeah, and then as long as like anybody who's like standing and speaking doesn't stand too far away from it, just kind of like be on it, it should be okay. But yeah.
I'll get a chair.
I'm good to go.
Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, no.
Oh, that was.
It's not gonna work, guys.
So there's this problem I have really ears. What that means, I probably better turn my phone down.
Everybody, he's trying to get your attention, please.
microphone. You know, if I turn off my speaker. Welcome, everybody, to the Etheridge birthday celebration. I am Corey Ewing, my wonderful co-host here, January York. We are curators of vocab. Mike has been going for 18 years now, here in Indianapolis. Here, get the folks sentimental stuff start off with.
Yeah, sentimental, things. That's something that I do at vocab at the end of the night. So, I'll kick off our sentimental to start this event. Well, I grew up in this neighborhood, born and raised. My mama lives on Cornelius, which is right up the street over there. I walked all of these streets growing up. Used to come in this building to rent videos when it was in video. Used to get the horror section was right here. That's my favorite section. New releases was this wall right here. And my grandmother going to get her family. But some of her friends used to live upstairs when they were still apartments, and it went up to the. I know the door is like, oh, it was that door. Oh my God, like I'm seeing it now all in real time. My bad. That was the door to go upstairs to the apartment. I was trying to say, this has been another building or something. No, it was this one. So it's just very nostalgic to come into this place and see what it has become and see where it's headed and where it's going. And it's bright, it's colorful, it's on the corner of the street where everybody wants to have an accident. So you always hear cars like going at each other all the time. I'm 46, so that's been a good 46 years strong. And I think that is a testament to the Etheridge Night legacy, that we keep things going, right? We don't have to let things die. We don't have to let things go to the wayside. This building was here for I don't know how long, just sitting here looking like, hey, remember me? Anybody, somebody, or they're coming to get me. And somebody came and got this building and brought it back to life, and it's utilizing both the top and the bottom. So what I remember from my childhood is no longer the same, but what I see as a grown adult woman is future. So when we think about Etheridge Night, might we always remember to think about the future? Might we always remember that people don't have to let our greats fall to the wayside. We don't have to let their legacies go. We keep them breathing because we are still breathing. We keep them going by speaking their names, by telling their stories, their poems, celebrating their birthdays, having days named after them, having events named after them, introducing people who never met them to them through our stories, through the things we do, through the way that we act. And so this sentimental moment was brought to you by NB Video.
Thank you, Jayla. So here, people around the room, like Hanukkah mentioned earlier, there are different art arrangements. So on the table, you can notice things that are from the archives that scan so we can get our things on them and we'll be okay. Don't worry about destroying anything. Feel free to interact with that. The photos and paintings that are hanging on the wall were done by community members and students at Butler as well. We have some things up here too. This is all spearheaded with Hanukkah, Scholar, and Gianna. We'll hear from them momentarily. And then we got a great program for you. So Action Mega Word is Bomb just did some workshop. We did a workshop, not some workshop. To start things off, we will also be having Madame Voice is in the building. We got Jack Davis as well. We do a Q&A. We're talking about work that he has done with the language.
I believe you are. Did you say?
Yeah, an ensemble too with phenomenal. Yes, full ensemble. They'll be going with that.
It was all a dream.
Yes. Cool. So enough of us for now. We're going to go ahead and let one of the next generation leaders from Kepler talk about the organization real quick, and we will step out of the way. Yeah. Welcome, everybody. Hello, everybody. Hello. Welcome to the Alchemy Community Wealth Building Center. My name is Chinyelu. I'm one of the next gen leaders at the Kepler Institute. I wear a lot of hats. So I do some work in marketing. I do some work in grant writing. I do a little bit of consulting work around leadership development and institution building. But really, I'm just a community member. You know, like Kepra is a nonprofit. It's an organization founded about 20 years ago by our three founders, originally as a personal and professional development program for young African American men. But the community that founded Kepra has existed long before that. That's the community that I was born into. My grandparents have been longtime friends of this community for a long time. My uncles, my father were like part of the original cohort of youth. So like that's really what this is about. It's not about your legal filing, you know, it's not about your grant dollars, you know, it's about this. It's about bringing people together, you know, building relationships, building something together, you know, like we don't pay rent at this building, we own it, you know, and we own it together, you know. So every event that we do here, you know, this isn't us, we're not providing y'all with the space, we're sharing a space with y'all, you know. So yeah, a little bit more about me before I pass it off. I'm an artist. I studied theater at Butler. Now I write, I draw, I write poetry, I rap, I do a little bit of everything. I'm 25 years old. Like I said, I've been a member of the Kepler Institute my entire life. The Kepler Institute itself, like I said, it started off as a personal and professional development program for young African American men. Now we do work in housing justice, food justice, entrepreneurial development, environmental justice, all sorts of stuff. So I passed around some QR codes. If you don't have one near you, they're everywhere. Go find one. There's one by the front door as well. You can find our Facebook and Instagram on there. You can find our website, and that QR code takes you to our contact form, just so that we can keep in touch with y'all, you know, reach out, follow up, bring y'all out to more events. We have a weekly community conversation series where we talk about all sorts of stuff. I think the last thing I'm supposed to say is that, you know, if you like this building and the fact that its lights are on and you want to help us keep the lights on, you know, go to donate.kepra.org, make a donation. You know, we're a community organization, so we live on the support of our community, and that's y'all. So thank y'all for being here. Enjoy the space. All righty, we're going to give you a quick ad break from one of our sponsors. This program is provided in part by support from the National Endowment for the Arts. Give it up for them and everything that they do. To find out more about how the National Endowment for the Arts grants impact individuals and communities, visit www.nea.gov. Additional funding is provided by the Metropolitan Indianapolis Board of Realtors. For any of our sponsors that we talked about today, make sure you go check out their websites or social media, engage with them so they can keep engaging with artists and supporting the endeavors that we have. All right, ad break over. Next up, one of the stars of the hour. Please give it up for Hanako, everybody.
I'll make Gianna come up with me. Hi, everybody. My name is Hanako Gavia. I am the great niece of Etheridge Knight. So he was my grandfather's little brother. So we all know him as Uncle Junior, though it's kind of confusing in our family because we have a lot of juniors. So to make everything clear, I call him Uncle Etheridge. So I want to thank you guys all for coming out here and supporting the work we're doing, supporting our student learning, and also because I also work at Butler. Sorry about that. I work at Butler as well. So this is a great learning experience for our students to get them involved. And also, I just want to thank you guys all for coming and representing yourselves and family in general. So something I've learned about doing this project is just that importance of community and how much one person can touch all these other people with different things they do with their writing, their speaking, their essence. And so that's something that I want to make sure we're keeping his legacy alive by doing that. The other thing I just want to shout out our wonderful sponsors that really help make this event possible. So the National Endowment of the Arts, as Corey already mentioned, the Hurston Wright Foundation. So everyone clap for them. So they've been a spectacular sponsor. Of course, Kepra Institute for lending us this wonderful space. Our longtime partner since I started doing this work, the Center for Black Literature and Culture. the Indie Arts Council, and you guys remember we have our mural downtown. So this is partially because of this mural that we get to do a program like this. So. So this project is also part of our Black Hub, the Butler University's Black Hub for Black Affairs and Community Engagement. So you give up for them. And then the amazing workshop we had with Word as Bond. Yeah. So I want to thank everyone for being here. I'm really excited about everyone that showed up, and I'm really excited for you guys to experience more poetry and listen to everyone. And I'm going to give Gianna some time to speak about her experience because she's the one that curated this other part of this event. So not the programming bit, but everything else you see.
Hi, I'm Gianna. I am a student at Butler, and through the internship program, I'm an artist myself, and I wanted to kind of like branch out and kind of like dip my toes into curation or curating. And so through this opportunity, I was able to connect with community members and be able to show their artwork here for you all today.
Also complemented by poems. And so another part that we wanted to do to make it more of an engaging experience after the program session, Gianna has put up a wall. You guys can add your own poems and writings and memories of Etheridge Night, and we will display it next year. So thank you guys all for coming. Also at the end of the session, if you guys can please scan the QR codes. I also have physical surveys at the back, just so we know your feedback and how we can make this event better for next year. So thank you.
Okay, y'all, can we give it up for Hanukkah? Okay, so I'm going to introduce this next person, but to gather this energy up in this room together real quick. See, now we're like into the meat and potatoes of everything. We getting ready to just roll the ball on up the hill, right? So we going into Manon voice right now. And if you know Manon, okay, let me stop right there. If you don't know Manon, that's problematic. Okay, but we getting ready to fix that because now you're getting ready to meet her, right? So you'll know her from here on. But if you know Manon, then you know Manon don't play. You know her pen work is sick. You know that she out at Butler teaching hip hop. You know she can hit that microphone and do poetry, hip hop, all in 116 bar setting. There's nothing she can't do. There's no place she can't go. She's taken her story and her talents and her gifts from here to Ireland, and then some, and some more places to go. That's me not reading her bio. That's just what I'm saying. Now I'm saying this because I said all that. Now I'm gonna do a practice run with y'all. Based on what I just said, tell me how you get ready to applaud for Manon voice. I just want to check. All right. I like that vibe. Now we're gonna keep that energy for the rest of the show. And if we don't, I'm just gonna be like, yeah, let's do it one more time. So we can just get it right the first time, every time. Now I'm about to read a piece of her bio. So that's gonna tap on top of what I just said about her. So you already know the applause. When I be like, give it up for Manon voice, that applause gotta be all the way right. Don't play. She's standing right there. She's looking and she's listening. She's looking and she's listening. Please do not think that she cannot see us through those glasses. She's looking right here. All of y'all, okay? Manon Boyce is a native of Indianapolis, Indiana, a multi-hyphenate poet and writer, spoken word artist, filmmaker, actor, hip hop MC, educator, and community builder. The spirit of her work finds its niche at the intersection of arts and activism. Pause. I cannot see in real life anymore, and I don't have my glasses, so just bear with me if I just start like tripping over words, because I see it happening already. She serves in the Jordan College of Art. She serves in the Jordan College of Arts School of Music at Butler University as a lecturer of hip hop music history and culture, and directs Butler's It Was All a Dream hip hop ensemble in the School of Music. She has performed on diverse stages across the country in the power of the word and has taught and facilitated writing and poetry workshops widely. Her poetry has appeared in the Flying Island, the Indianapolis Review, the House Life Project, People Plus Property Series, Side Piece Magazine, and The World We Lived In anthology. Questions for a Resilient Future, Kinship, A World of Relations, and more. Y'all, please give it up for Manon.
All right, when I say peace, y'all say peace, peace. Peace. When I say love, y'all say love, love. When I say hope, y'all say hope, hope, hope. When I say revolution, y'all say revolution, 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 revolution. All right, now type it up for yourself. Thank you so much. January, we just walked out the building, but that was, I just really appreciate her because she's somebody who I looked up to actually when I was coming up as a young poet and loved January York. And I think we all in the city can really attest to the power of her poetry. And we can think about people like Etheridge Knight that really paved the way for all of us. So I see a lot of poet friends in here and fellows and artists. And when we think about the legacy of somebody like Etheridge Knight, who was a pioneer of the Black arts movement, he really made it possible for all of us who call ourselves artists and poets and revolutionaries and musicians in the city to exist and to do the work that we do. So I'm very grateful, and I always try to keep his legacy in mind. I'm very grateful for Hanako, who is helping to keep his legacy alive. And for all of you, the family of Etheridge Knight and just beloved community, it's good to be here with all of you. I was fascinated to recently just discover, I think I was, just paying attention to the fact that Etheridge Knight was born in Corinth, Mississippi.
Yeah.
And he shares the same ancestry as far as state. My dad's side of the family was born in Greenwood, Mississippi. And now these two places are a little distinct in their texture in that you have Corinth, which is in the northeastern corner of Mississippi, and it was a hub for railroads and war. So during the Civil War, railroads were built through Corinth. And so that became really a hub for a lot of Black working class families. And then my dad's side of the family is from Mississippi, which is known for the blues, you can think of sharecroppers and the rich Delta lands. I was introduced to Etheridge Knight my last year of undergrad, and my professor, Mitchell Douglas, is somewhere. I saw him here earlier.
He had to bounce out.
Okay. So the esteemed and acclaimed poet Mitchell Douglas was my poetry professor in undergrad for the only poetry class I took my senior year. And he introduced me to Etheridge Knight. And he introduced me, the first poem that I got to know Etheridge's work was An Idea of Ancestry, which was published, yes, in 1958 in prison, in Poems from Prison. And so this poem, a lot of us may know, explores themes of identity and explores themes of displacement and connection to family. It explores connection to those that we are linked to by blood and biology, but who he was estranged from by personal choices, but also migration and systems of oppression. And so when I think actually about the backdrop of Mississippi, I was, thinking about this lately. Mississippi actually is one of the states that kept the poorest records for African Americans in the country. And so when I think about a poem like the idea of ancestry, when I think about the work that Etheridge Knight was doing to stitch together identity in this way that reclaims the way that Black lives have often been erased and have suffered from fragmentation, whether that was from migration or incarceration or addiction or poverty. And so his poem idea of ancestry is not just personal, but it's generational and it's historical, and that it allows us all to remember and to reimagine ourselves stitched together through blood and lineage, reclaiming who we are, reclaiming where we come from. And despite systems of oppression, how we are tied together by blood, by cultural memory, by music, and by revolution. So the work of Etheridge Knight actually inspired me to think about my own work. And I would say just over the past 5 years, my work has really deepened into writing about ancestral memory. And so I wrote this poem actually after Etheridge Knight, the idea of ancestry, about my own lineage. Taped to the wall of my memory are a plethora of photo books. They contain my mother's, great and grand, not the whole width and expanse of their lives, but suggestions of their wit, their will, their fancy, their fierceness, their tenderness, and even their sadness lingers in the pastels of soft kitchens. The men are usually missing except for a photo of my father's father donning a fedora and a yellow collared starched shirt and creased brown pants belonging to men of his era. They are all of an era of sharecroppers and bootleggers, of domestics and seamstresses, of Greenwood, Mississippi, and McKenzie, Tennessee. My cousin is actually behind the camera, so she can tell you about my mother's side. That is my first cousin. Yeah. McKenzie, Tennessee, of back roads and barren plantations of desire and dark defeat, and children upon children hoisted on train upon train, going somewhere where the land doesn't scream. Anna, my mother's grandmother, had a gold tooth which she made sure was always polished for the camouflage. And Ozzy, my father's mother, had a subtle sweetness and held her shyness close to her ebony supple visage. Nobeline, my mother's mother, was a fire pistol, carrying a tongue that spliced new curse word inventions one's never heard of. And Estella, my father's grandmother, was a 7-day Adventist and a saint. On Riley, where I grew up, I learned that my first name would be a lifelong epithet of mispronunciation. Most of the kids had working class parents like mine whose eyes disappeared when summer came and we snuck out of the house and stayed out too late, pulsing against the glare of bending streetlights. And us girls, well, we ruffled the white skirts of our youth because we couldn't have imagined the risk of flirting with boys whose names were tragedy and I shouldn't have. My mother once slapped God into my mouth after a boy kissed it. My brothers were barbers and DJs, cutting hair and hip hop breaks in the basement. My siblings and I would break out in Jackson 5 formations, dance, 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 dancing machine. I was waiting for the doom, doom, doom. And after school, we watched The Box and VH1 and learned lyrics from NWA and Tupac and walked to school wearing Raider sports jackets and skull caps, throwing up fake gang signs. It was the 90s. Every year back then in the summer, there was a big family reunion with a bottomless buffet replete of every kind of soul food imaginable. We wore t-shirts with a big tree and the last name of our forebears on the leaves. Many of them had already fallen, much more since. The pandemic took 2 hands of them. I call home much more now,
Amen.
and especially phone my eldest living relative, my great aunt Jeanette. She is my lifeline to that other world of sharecroppers and bootleggers and domestics and seamstresses formed of desire, and dark defeat. There are some stories too painful to relate, but when she pauses and tells me, child, I wore many of a burlap dresses in my day, I know that it means we have come a long way. So I write and I write and I write. I write the tenderness they stitched into hard days. I write the songs they hummed when no one was listening. I write the prayers they whispered into open fields and broken rooms. I write to tether their lives to mine across time. I write to carry them into every tomorrow I will see. I write because they are my beginning. They are my becoming. Thank you.
Keep your round of applause for Milan voice, everybody. We're gonna hear some more from you. All right, now that we got so many people in here and settled, by show of hands, how many members of the Knight family do we have present today? This family always shows up and shows out for the events. Last year, January, and I were doing a workshop at the CBLC. They had a family reunion that day. We still saw them. They always support it. It is amazing to be able to see that each and every time. All right, I'm gonna get out of the way because we still got more people coming up on this. Y'all ready for that?
Yes.
Everybody still with it? Yeah, there it is. Coming in, that Word is Bond. Word is Bond was founded by Rashida Green and Ashley Mack Jackson in 2013. Word is Bond Incorporated offers creative writing programs that provide forums for self-expression and community empowerment to Indianapolis area writers, especially youth writers from all walks of life. We believe that by sharing their stories and making meaningful connections with one another, these writers will come together to transform their lives, our community, and the world. Word is Bond is going to get up today by Ashley Mack Jackson. Ashley, oh, there you are. The pillar got me. Ashley Mack Jackson is a native Hoosier, educator, and writer. In 2013, Ashley co-founded Word is Bond, an organization that provides free creative writing education to youth across central Indiana. In 2023, Ashley's poem, The Architecture of Eternity, which celebrates Etheridge Knight's legacy, was selected by the Indie Arts Council and Indiana Humanities to appear alongside a mural of Knight for the Bicentennial Legend series. Everybody, please give a big round of applause.
Honestly, I always feel like this, like after Manon talks and we don't need any more poetry. The poetry, no, we shut it down. No, honestly, thank you so much. It's just such a joy. Honestly, an unspeakable joy. And those who know me know I am an open weeper. I have tried to put it away, like not do it as much, but sometimes I just start to cry because honestly, this work that we do, this community building, I look at Chinelo, who is my little cousin. I'm his mother's first cousin. And Makai, they're around the same age. And the times they started writing poetry, I remember his mama telling me that he was out there on the soccer field, but she couldn't get him to do anything but pick the dandelions and think about the world around him. So it's just a beauty to see him still doing the arts. And to see Makai, who you'll hear from in a bit. It's just love to be here. It was such an honor to be selected by the Indie Arts Council, Indiana Humanities, for the honor of writing the poem that would go with the Etheridge Knight mural that is now still down there at the Chatterbox. Because like Manon and so many others, I feel like Etheridge Knight is part of my literary lineage. Honestly, I was far away from home when I went to school at Howard University. That was the first time I heard Etheridge Knight's name from one of my professors, Dr. Tony Medina, who is, he always calls himself a son of the Black Arts Movement. And he introduced us to some wonderful work. But along with that came Etheridge Night and the same poem, The Idea of Ancestry, which I related to, especially as a kid growing up with a parent who was incarcerated, to be able to hear those words from the other side. It did something to my soul, and I think he made me a poet. His poetry spoke to me in a way that I knew that resonated with me. And so we're just delighted to be here today. I am also a teacher at Butler. I feel like Butler's in the house over here. Yeah, but also, long before Butler, back in 2013, myself and Rashida Green started an organization called Word is Bond. And what we do with Word is Bond is really simply offer creative writing and literary arts education to the community, free of charge, and mostly to youth, to provide them with opportunities that we didn't have when we were young. For us, when we were young, we were each other's writing workshop, which was a joy and a pleasure, and a grace and a gift from God. But we decided that we wanted to create a space where we could share that with others, and that we could bring young people together to see each other, young people who live, I mean, we have students from Noblesville and Logansport, and from the South Side, George Washington High School, and Lawrence Township, and Washington Township, and all over the city, so that they can connect with each other and see each other in a very real way that doesn't happen, I think, without the arts. And so what we're gonna do today is share a little bit of our work with you. This show has been designed, these 3 poems, to really represent the same idea of lineage and heritage, because Makai is our heritage. Like the work that we do, and he and all of our students who continue in the community, those are the seeds that we are planting, but we don't come from nowhere. And we know that honoring that history is oh so important. So I'm gonna be quiet on that front, and I'm gonna read my little poem, which is called Loop, or A Black Girl Keeps Returning to the City of Circles, by myself. Question: there are Black people in Indiana? Answer: when I was 10, I almost died from post-streptococcal nephritis. It was a trip, something else, how my body tried to shut itself off. I remember I couldn't remember how to tie my shoes. I remember my mother, dead serious in the shadow of the quiet room, where they send you to let the ones you love go. She refused to go. I remember my body above me trying to drive myself back inside. Truth be told, I've always been holding on, letting go, and something about December 1994 made the magic of separation, resurrection too tempting. The birth of a savior, the patron saint of children and thieves begging for forgiveness, a monument of war strung up with thousands of twinkling lights, a loop that broke and broke and broke. Depending on which way it went, I could have been on any side of this city of circles. I was born at St. Vincent, Easter Sunday, 1984. My mother, students, don't tell them how old I am. I'm always talking about, you can count, but don't tell. Okay. My mother waited almost too late. I died at least twice at St. Vincent near Christmas 1994. My mother waited almost too late. At Riley Hospital, a hospital that lives in the neighborhood the city stole from my mother's people, I woke up to my pastor's brown face, halo, see, the open weeping, in fluorescent light. Jesus Christ, how could I not take myself away, give myself back to this city, my people, again and again and again?
Okay, so this is the working title, Circle City Cycles. Sometimes when I run on the treadmill, I imagine I'm running away from Indiana. My mother ran track in high school. Before the birthing of babies changed her body, she was fast. My sister ran away from home the first time when she was 15. As soon as she turned 21, she ran away from Indiana to Texas to North Carolina to a whole bunch of different cities. Okay. Okay, she ran away from Indiana from home. I've always been a couch potato, the homebody. I never ran away from this place physically. Mama taught me early on that I was born with 3 strikes against me. 1, this is a man's world. 2, you're Black. 3, you're a girl. Mama never wanted to have girls. Because she was the eldest of all of her mother's 6 daughters. Just her luck, the ancestors decided to recycle my sister and me to this realm through her 2 daughters. Like her mother, her great grandmother, and maybe even the grandmother that she didn't even know, only for being on the darker end of the melanin rainbow. Mama bore her first child when she was 19, a teenager. My sister's water broke when she was 6 months pregnant at 16, a teenager. My hips held Makai captive when I was 18, a teenager. My body was too underdeveloped to birth the baby properly. The older I get, the less I like swirling in circles. The spinning makes me dizzy and I want to throw up. Sometimes I think maybe God saw fit for me to bring 2 boys into this world, a break in the cycle of recycling ancestors into adolescent Black girl bodies in this place, in this state. Now that I am 40 and some change, I see the cycle of not really running away from home, from my mother, the woman where home should be. I've tried to run away from home, from Indiana, but Naptown has its circles and life has its cycles, but this place is not.
This piece is called Lullaby for the Wind, and it's for my little brother, Makani. If the wind was a superhero, it would be my brother. I can see it now, the breeze pushing through his curls, cape billowing behind him, the winter cold look cast over his shoulder, fists clenched to the frigid air, ready for the jump off, prepared for the fight. Batman ain't got nothing on my brother. Bruce's only superpower is his privilege, or beating up the poor instead of contributing his excessive wealth into regrowing the community. And his many weaknesses include literally anything that can kill a normal man. But this isn't about him. A better backstory. My brother comes from a broken home. Father filled to the brim with rage, veins visibly flowing with lava, easily mistaken for honey or home to someone like our mother, who sings through broken bottleneck-colored waves, wrapped in her arms enough love to sink the stars. No more. There is no love without loss, so she must have given everything for her boys. And this one was born to be a hero. Batman ain't got nothing on my brother. He's faster than Flash, dashing at the speed of sound, could go several rounds and iron out that man who thinks he's made of steel and still got time to whoop you in Mortal Kombat. It's a fact that our family has a few comic issues, but a fractured inheritance has never stopped him before. Being fantastic is like putting Johnny against Storm, and I'll warn you, his cooking will give you the itis like it was canon. His smile is the difference between the Hulk and Bruce Banner because the way it radiates only excellence is like he was Black Panther. Oh, y'all done did it now. Just wait till you see the mask. Mama, where's his super suit? Hold on. Is that a bird? Is that a plane? Is that Batman? No, it's a Black man. It's my brother. Makani, Hawaiian for wind, hood for my brother, always kicks ass, never intimidating. He's so dope, even his secret identity has a secret identity. He helps me so much, and he's only 9 years old. I wrote this when he was 5, he's now 16. Do you know what it takes to save someone, and he didn't even know I needed it? I awoke one night to the sound of my brother crying, the wooden bed frame creaking from his shaking, and I swear I could see the nightmare hovering above him, this thick, villainous smog congesting his dreams, and all I could do was sit by him, singing until he exhaled the tendrils of torture out, a lullaby for the wind. The next morning I asked him what he dreamed about last night, and he said there was a monster that I couldn't save you from. Funny, my brother's only fear is not being able to save me in time. And how ironic, I have that same fear for him every day. And how special, because who knew superheroes needed saving too?
How can we give it up one more time for word? All right. So coming up next, we're gonna have a question and what, an interview with Mr. Matt Davis. I went and got my glasses so I can actually see now and then set them down before I read. So I'm not used to this. Okay. Matt Davis is a poet, performing artist, and organizer who has been active in the indie arts community for 2 decades. Matt is particularly known for all-age performing events in the near East Side, Fountain Square, and downtown Indy. He is the founder and MC of Sometimes Why, a monthly poetry open mic at the Chatterbox Jazz Club, inspired by Etheridge Knight's Free People's Poetry Workshops. Matt Davis is also a leader of Scene Support Campaign for Working Artists. Y'all, please give it up for Matt Davis. Going back about to the yellow carpet, please. We gonna see if they want you to come up or not. Going back to the yellow carpet.
I forgot because they forgot. Okay.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I'm just trying to get the timer ready. It's okay. All right, y'all. I see where I went wrong. I didn't tell y'all about Matt Davis. I just read his bio. It's okay. So now let me give you the real Matt Davis. Matt Davis has been to 10 out of the 7 continents. All right. Let that sit with you for a minute. Let that sit with you for a minute. All right. Doing poetry and talking about Etheridge Knight. Okay. 10 out of 7. Matt has traveled from Africa to Antarctica.
You thinking of that other 30?
Matt has taken his poetry to where the glaciers reside. He's gone out into the center of the oceans and did whale calls. And then read them haikus inspired by Etheridge Knight. All right? Yeah, yeah. When he hosts Sometimes Why, he gives it up for Etheridge Knight. When he comes out, he gives it up for Etheridge Knight. When he features, he gives it up for Etheridge Knight. When he's going to McDonald's, if that's his place of choosing, he gives it up for Etheridge Knight. When I say Matt Davis gives it up for Etheridge Knight, remember we talked about this being indie video. Matt Davis is the person who keeps and keeps and keeps and keeps the legacy going and going and going and going. And the more people that we have that keep the legacies that we love going, the bigger those legacies continue to grow. So y'all, when I say give it up for Matt Davis, please don't do this. Yeah, don't do that. That ain't the one. Do the one that if I said give it up for Mary J. Blige, she get ready to point the microphone at you to sing. I want that applause. All right, I want that one. Okay, so give it up for Mr. Matt Davis.
I'm gonna wear my Mary boot. That's what I always get to. I should have had my Mary boot.
Definitely missed the Mary boot part. All right, Matt, how are you?
Man, I'm doing great, man. I'm so glad to be here. So glad everybody else is here. I should have worn my Mary J. Blige boots. I got some at the house. I should have worn those. Would have went over better.
It would have been. I mean, what size do you wear?
I don't worry about it.
Okay, because I'm like,
You got some. You got some.
I got some. My dog ate the toes off my boots, so you know it's whatever out here. All right, so tell me, who are you?
Man, she did a wonderful introduction. I learned about some new continents, and apparently I've been to those too. Now, no, I mean the bio pretty much summed it up, y'all. I know a lot of people in the room. Shouts out to the Knights family. Thank you so much for being here, y'all. Yeah, a writer and an organizer, and as I've kind of matured into both, I'm trying my best to blend those two. You know what I mean? As I'm aging, I think sometimes artists, we feel like we kind of age out of art, or we age out of activism. And I've been really blessed, partly because of where I'm from, and mainly because of this whole community. I've been able to age into it. So what you heard in that bio, that pretty much sums it up. So.
Okay, sweet. So how did you come into getting to know Etheridge Knight, and then tell me about how, after getting to know about Etheridge Knight, how that became like literally a part of who you are.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that question. The first time I heard about Etheridge Knight was shout out to Eunice Knight, or as many people know, Miss Ife. You may know her as Miss Ife as well. One of her community names. She used to do the Etheridge Knight Festival. And when I was in middle school, I think it was just before middle school or during middle school, it was at the Children's Museum. And so then that kind of like went over my head, kind of washed over me a little bit. And then I used to go to Cafe Kumba or Midtown Writers Association at Scott's United Methodist on 25th over there in Brightwood, Martindale area. With my homie Braylon, the after school bus used to drop us over there from Arlington. And so then I was kind of in the midst of him there. And again, that was kind of washing over me a little bit. And then when I was in the middle of high school, kind of like going into my junior year, I wrote a poem. Like my actual work was getting more politically charged. And my activism and my art were kind of starting to collapse. And I wrote a poem about how school was a metaphor for prison, right? And people were like, that kind of reminded me of Etheridge Knight, because, you know, he covered those, like the way you really handled that pretty well to be so young. And I was like, okay, cool. Again, like that comparison, that reference point kind of washed over me or whatever. I was real big into Nikki Giovanni at the time. Like, shouts out to Melita back there. I was real big into Nikki Giovanni. And when I think about how a poem's supposed to look on paper, in some ways it's still her, still very much her. I know we just lost her too. That's a huge hole. And then I found out that they were on the same press. They were pressmates, Broadside Press, Mr. Dudley in Detroit. And I was like, okay, again, that was another touch point for me. And I was so excited about her work, you know what I mean? And so then that kind of got me excited. But I wasn't really buying his books yet. I wasn't really digging too deep into it. So he was kind of always there. And then in my early 20s, as I was, you know, traveling, learning, growing, and wanted to get more serious as a writer. So then you got to read. If you're serious about writing, you got to read for real. Right. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah. And so then I started reading him and I was like, oh, he's cold. Like he continues to impress me. He's one of the most impressive poets I've ever read, ever gone read. You know what I mean? Not only is he honest about himself, he makes you be honest about you. Amen. So that's how I got introduced to him. And he just sticks with you. He sticks with you. You know, I think, you know, especially in the you know, after 2010s, everybody's like ancestors, and you know, we celebrating and other. But you invoke Etheridge Knight, he gonna be nosy. He gonna be in your business, right? You call him up, and he's gonna live life with you. You know what I mean? Because you're gonna stay with his work, and his work's gonna stay with you. And so I've learned and grown a lot from his challenges, his encouragement, and I built a relationship with him. And so then splashed in the middle of that whole timeline, I met this one dude named Michael Collins. And I was like, I was like, okay, all right. That's what it means to be dedicated to Etheridge Knight. You get what I mean? Michael's always been a bar for me. He's my mentor and my mentee. He is my star player and my mascot. He is my #1 heckler and my spirit animal. And yeah, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing in terms of just carrying that legacy in tandem with Hanako and my Miko and so many other people in the Knight family. I wouldn't be able to do that without Michael. And all the stuff I'm doing, I just love having him as a partner.
Is he still alive?
Never heard of him. No,
I love that. Couple of things came to mind. I'm gonna fall off the script real quick, but I love how you speak about Etheridge like he's alive. Like,
I mean, he's a trickster. He's a trickster. He's messing with y'all right now.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, especially in the realm of speaking about poetry, and poetry, like literally being this living thing that poets create, and it goes on hopefully to live forever. But the more that you read it, the more that you realize there's a actual heartbeat inside of those poems. And so hearing you speak about your relationship with Etheridge and coming into relationship with Etheridge as if you literally are breaking bread with him on a regular, like you do with Michael Collins. I think that is a testament to this whole experience of keeping legacies alive, like not using that phrase cliche, like, you know, like we will keep the legacy alive. Okay. So, but are you?
Yeah.
And in what ways are you? Is it just that you show up when when you're called, or is it in the way that you speak?
Right.
Is it in the way that you carry the books that have the poems of the ancestor in it? Like, no, this book cannot drop to the ground. All this #2 college rule paper can, but not this book. Like, I love that. And then the shout out to Michael Collins. So that brings me to the question of how important is it to you to maintain relationship and community with the elders, and especially the elder artists, poets, writers, but even other artists, if that's the thing.
Yeah, I think that's the difference between being informed and being wise. You see what I'm saying? I think you can read some stuff, you can know some people, you can be plugged, you can apply for this, you can have all of the boxes checked, but that's just information. You see what I'm saying? And that's you being informed and being active and having leverage or whatever, you know what I mean? But the wisdom comes from like the depth of your relationship to the work of people who have that type of legacy and those who are impacted by that legacy. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, like later I'm gonna read a couple poems. This is just a subtle example. I'm gonna read a couple poems, and I know Anisi's here, so in those poems, I'm not about to cuss. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna cuss in those poems. There you go. Hey, come on, Virgil. Come on. Hey, we know that's wisdom. That's wise, right? So no, but that's what I'm trying to say though. Is like it's the little stuff like that. You know what I mean? How to show up, when to show up. You know, all those different things matter because it's not just me. You know what I mean? And I've written a play about Etheridge Knight, and I think that's when things started to really just like blossom in terms of my relationship with him, turning into him. And then, you know, then being a good steward of that manuscript, and then not just doing a Matt Davis production, which is cool. We could, again, that's that leverage shit. We can do all that, right? But is this for Matt or is this for Etheridge? You know what I'm saying? And so if I don't have Michael in my life, if I don't have Miss Niecy in my life, if I don't have, you know, Lil Junior in my life, if I don't have Hanako in my life, Mihiko, then I'm not synced up. I'm not aligned the way I need to be. And so like those relationships with elders are crucial. And not to plug this too much, but I also started a radio segment called Finding Etheridge. You know what I'm saying? Because as an elder and as an ancestor, he's pretty elusive. You get what I mean? Oreo, you know what I'm talking about, bro? He's hard. He can be hard to pin down, which is a point. That's the whole point. He wanted it that way. And so in these interviews, I'm trying to like expose different dimensions of who he is. And he was great at humanizing others, but somebody got to humanize him too. And he was a really complex brother. And so then the elders are the only way to do that. Like literally only way to do that. You know, I love Terrence Hayes. I love all these other people who have written so many great biographical works about him, but it's nothing like sitting down with Majiza Holiday or Sandra Holiday and getting that conversation about when she workshop with him and how that brought her to tears. You see what I'm saying? Because he read her and didn't even know her. And in that edit did something to her heart and her mind. So, you know, it was broadcast on Wednesday on Cultural Manifesto. Shouts out to Kyle Long. And then, most of that. And then tonight at 6, right after this, that'll be rebroadcast. So, you know, so that's just a prime. It's tonight at 6. Yep. 90.1 WFYI. Definitely check that out. It's always an honor to sit down with any elder. But so to answer that question on his head, I think that it's where the wisdom comes in, you know. So
yeah, I love it. Wrap this up. I got one final question for you. What have you learned about yourself as a writer,
Mhm.
but then also as a Black man
Oh, yeah.
through experiencing Etheridge Knight's work and coming in relationship with his work and his legacy and his being in general. Like what have you seen about Matt
Yeah.
through all of this?
Yeah, no, he definitely makes it makes you be who you are. And he's got a very rich philosophy to how he went about writing. You know what I mean? So up on some of these pieces here, you see some of his quotes. You see the poet, the poem, the people over here on this one over here. And that's a real popular one. Make sure y'all check these out. And like that's that whole trifecta, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, some poets are just really, really good at it, like putting themselves in the poem, making sure that the people can receive it, making sure that people can receive the poem. That's a whole feedback loop. I mean, people like JY make that look too easy. You see what I'm saying? In terms of sharing parts of yourself, the messy parts, the uncomfortable parts, the parts that are the imperfect fruits that drop from your trees. You know what I mean? Those are hard things to share. He has a philosophy, an approach, and a method by which he does that. And then I think, to answer your question a little bit more poignantly, I think he's got this quote, and this is not something that you're gonna really read. You got to be in community with the people who are in the Free People's Workshop to hear this particular gem. But and you've heard me say this before, but never trust a poet who does not write about themselves personally, or their friends, or their family. I'm gonna say that one more time. Never, ever, ever, ever trust any poet, because they just wordsmiths. You gotta remember, they smithing words, right? But if they don't write about who they are personally, their personal lives, right? Their friends or their family, then on some level they lying. And I took that in, and I keep taking that in over the last couple of years that I've heard that, and it just keeps being true, and it keeps being true, and obviously I comb back through all my work with that, and I see how I've grown as a person, writer, yeah, but also just as a person, as a human being, you know what I mean, and I also see it in all of the great writers that I like reading. And I also see it in all of the young writers that are trying to find a voice and what it means to find your voice in the 2020, 25, Project 25. You know what I mean? Like, what does this really mean? And I just see it. And then, I do a lot of social commentary. I do a lot of political commentary in my work. And the reason why that quote or that gem is so important to me is because if you can't be vulnerable and honest with yourself, then when you're talking about the world, are you really truly being vulnerable and honest about the world? You get what I'm saying? How much do you really care? Like, show your value, show what you care about, show your principles, just in that personal vulnerability. Because then you're gonna have the empathy, you're gonna be insightful, you're gonna have the moral clarity to wield the truth about what's happening in the world. You see what I'm saying? But you gotta get right with yourself. And I think that his work, I mean, just one of the books of the 4, I mean, he just is a consummate example of that. So yeah.
That's good.
Excuse me. I hope you don't mind if I ask you a question.
Please do, Mr. Bertram.
Have you ever met him?
No, so this is weird. So Michael always says like there was some weird reincarnation thing with me and Etheridge because I was born May 1991 and he died May 25th. He died March 10th, 91. So it was like this, like we just missed each other. And then also Maury Evans, also March 10th, 2017. So that was a weird woo. So yeah, no, I know him now. I know him now.
Sounds like he knows you too.
Oh yeah, that's why I say he messing with us right now.
Yeah.
For sure.
It definitely gives a vibe of like y'all definitely sat and had some coffee together and talked about a couple things a few different times. I love that, but I think that is the beauty sometimes of being in the world of poetry and words and poets, those who really come from the core of their experiences as a human being and their family and friends, those people who are tapping in. I think in that experience, you just find yourself in these dots that naturally connected that
Yeah.
you weren't paying attention to
Exactly,
until
that's
you
what I'm
were
saying, it was
paying
just-
attention to
exactly.
them.
Yep.
And it's like, oh my God, no wonder there was no other way.
Literally.
There was no other poet for me to latch on to
Yeah.
like this.
And there were others.
Of course, but
But it
like
just-
in
yeah.
this type of space and
Yeah.
relationship and passion
Yeah.
and love and life change where I can sit and have a conversation and you wouldn't know if I didn't tell you that I didn't meet this person
Right.
hand in hand and
Right.
often.
Right.
So I love that. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I want to definitely give you some time to share some poetry.
Okay.
So I'm gonna scoot up out your way and please feel free to share with the people anything you have coming up. I know you talked about the cultural
yeah.
manifesto. So please
Yeah,
share
no,
more.
definitely check that out tonight at 6 on WFY 90.1. And that is called Finding Etheridge. Do that monthly with Kyle Long. Got a couple other things. I wrote a play about Etheridge Night, and I'm kind of working on how I would like to premiere that, what that looks like. I think the Indianapolis theater community, which I've been a big part of as well, it's in an inflection point. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna let that inflect a little bit. We're gonna let that inflect. But no matter where it premieres, it doesn't matter where it premieres. It's definitely coming back to Indianapolis, you know. Let's see what else. Sometimes why is the event that's kind of in spirit of the Free People's Workshop, and that's every first Thursday. Make some noise if you ever been there. And so that is every first Thursday at the Chatterbox. Chatterbox and Slippery Noodle is where Free People's Workshop used to normally be at. So shout out to Slippery Noodle too. So make sure you catch us there. And we actually do like a live feedback workshop thing there too. So if you want to get what that Free People's felt like, then you can actually kind of experience that with us too. Now I'll stop rambling, y'all. I also wanted to share a couple pieces. I really like how Etheridge is having his moment this year. I'm loving it. April 19th is his birthday. And I feel like we've been celebrating him all month. You know what I mean? As Poetry Month. Another person I like to see get this kind of treatment, and she's had her times with that, but it would be nice to kind of do the same thing for Mari next year. That'd be kind of fun. You know what I mean? Like, especially if you want to edit a poem, you're gonna need to be. You're gonna need to talk to Miss Evans. Anyway, so I wanted to read a couple poems I feel like show off his personality a little bit. We have the classics, Idea of Ancestry, heard two. Shout out to everybody who read today. Shout out, come on, clap. Yeah. We heard from some incredible poets that were kind of inspired by some of the kind of weaving together some of the concepts and just the arc of Idea of Ancestry, which is a classic poem. Etheridge has another classic poem, which either if you know it, you'll never forget it, right? And if you'll always remember it, and if you've never heard it, you'll never forget it. You know what I mean? It's called Bones of My Father. And the reason why I wanted to read this one is because obviously there's some unpublished works I've been digging into all the time, and he's got this one called Fascism in America, and I wanted to light it up, but I figured let me chill. And it's kind of a long poem, and it's how clear he is about what everything that's going on in these times. I feel like there's a lot of poems that speak to it in a lot of different ways, but this is a classic poem that a lot of people know, and again, I wanted to show the range of his personality, not just the depth of his work, but the range of his personality. And I think this is a good one to start off with, and I got another cool little jazzy one too. But in this poem, I want to explain this a little bit. So we talk about Mississippi, we talk about Corinth, Paducah, all that good stuff. And in this one, so his name is in his family, his name is Junior. You know what I mean? And it's because there's a senior. And so then when he says Bones of My Father, he's talking about senior, right? And when he's talking about Mississippi, you see what I'm saying? So kind of connecting that to lineage the way that Manon was talking about. And so then, and I'll just explain this last thing and then stop nerding out about it. But the dry bones is alluding to a biblical reference about Ezekiel. And there's a valley of dry bones, right? And that you know, the people, the children of Israel, whatever, one day will be made whole, not just skeletons, and be liberated, right? That's the idea, this whole vision of a valley of dry bones. And what he's saying in this is the bones are our legacy with slavery and oppression or whatever in this country, right? And ain't none of these bones dry. I don't know if everybody quite got that. People have read this poem, but I don't know if that's really sunk in for folks, what he's actually saying. So that's the metaphor. And then when you hear him say he's dreaming of dry bones, or when he's talking about dry bones, he's talking about him accepting that legacy, him accepting that past, and him reconciling that pain. You see what I mean? He talks about people who are anti-war, long hair hippies and stuff like that, looking for his father bones, right? Fighting for a better future, fighting for whatever. That's what he's alluding to. And then in the third part, I'll say 1, 2, 3, so y'all can know how it's structured. And then the third part, he's talking about society and just how we're moving, how we're seeing the world and taking it all in. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
There are no dry bones in this valley. The skull of my father grins at the Mississippi moon from the bottom of the Tallahatchie. The bones of my father are buried in mud of creeks and brooks that twist and flow their secrets to the sea. But the wind sings to me. Here, the sun speaks to me of the dry bones of my father. There are no dry bones in northern valleys, in Harlem alleys, young black men with knees bent, nod on stoops of tenements, and dream of the dry bones of my father. And young long white hairs who flee their homes and bend their minds and sing their songs of brotherhood and no more wars are searching for my father's bones. There are no dry bones here. We hide from the sun. No more do we take long straight strides. Our steps have been shaped by cages that keep us. We glide sideways like crabs along the sand. We perch on green lilies. We search beneath white rocks. There are no dry bones here. The skull of my father grins at the Mississippi moon from the bottom of the Tallahatchie. Give it up for Etheridge, Joe. So before I read this one, I wanted to read one, but again, I didn't want to cuss. And it's called Fable. It's called A Fable. Just go look it up. It's a deep cut. It's a B-side. Go look it up. Go look it up. It's called A Fable by Etheridge Knight. And it's talking about 7 prisoners and how the best way to escape prison, right? That's about how I feel. It's very 2025. It's very 2025. So I'm gonna let y'all in your own time. You know what I'm saying? Let y'all read that one. But this last one, y'all, I'm gonna get out of y'all way. It's called Free Singers Beat. And if any of the elders, y'all probably know this piece. Y'all probably heard of this one. This is about the Free People's Workshop and what it means to be free peoples, like what that whole concept meant, and what it means to be a writer that's free. You know what I'm saying? How writing can free you. So yeah, and so it was cool. Also, this piece is dedicated to Father Boniface Harding from Martin, and it starts off with a quote. So I'm gonna start off with that quote. So this is from Father Harding. If we didn't have music, dancers would be soldiers too, holding their guns in their arms instead of each other. So that was hard. And now here's this piece. We free singers be sometimes swimming in the music like porpoises playing in the sea. We free singers become agitators at times. Become eagles circling the sun, hurling rocks at hunters. Become scavengers cracking eggs in the palm of our hand. Remember the days of raging fires when I clenched my teeth in sleep and refused to speak in the daylight hours. We free singers be, baby, tall walkers, high steppers, hip shakers. Free singers be still waters sometimes too. Remember, don't you remember when children held our hands and danced around us in circles and we laughed in the sun? Remember, don't you remember when we slept under the shade of trees and woke trembling in darkness? We free singers be voyagers and sing of cities with straight streets, and mountains that pierce the moon, and rivers that never run dry. Remember, oh, don't you remember now the snow falling on Broadway and the soldiers marching through icy streets with blood on their coat sleeves? Remember, oh, don't you remember how we left that warm movie house, turned up our collars, and rode the subway home? Free singers be, baby. We free singers be. Shouts out to the writers, y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. If you wanna check out more of what we got going on, definitely come to the Chatterbox next Thursday, from 6 to 8. Every first Thursday we'll be up there. You can hear more Etheridge, you can hear more of folks. Shouts out to Michael Collins.
Shout out to you.
Thank you.
Let's get a round of applause for Matt Davis. All right, folks, we have poeted for the day. We got one more engagement for you that's going to be coming up. We're going to have our hip hop ensemble close us out today. It was all a dream. Hip hop ensemble at Butler University is a dynamic collective of artists dedicated to exploring, uplifting, and celebrating the musical traditions of hip hop and R&B. Rooted in creativity, cultural awareness, and community, the ensemble seeks to elevate the presence and appreciation of these genres, both musically and culturally, within the Jordan College of Arts, the Butler University campus, and the broader Indianapolis community. Through live performance, collaboration, and education, ensemble members are committed to honoring the legacy and ongoing evolution of hip hop and R&B. They aim to inspire curiosity, dialogue, and learning around the social and artistic impact of these genres by amplifying the work of both local and globally recognized artists. Introducing the ensemble members and, oh, my ability to read names. Really out here. Pasha Miller. Mike Evans. Adriel Beasley. Dominique White. Sidney James. April Henry. Martini Control. And Elvin Declan, everybody.
So hi, everybody. We're the hip hop ensemble from Butler University today. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for the Indie Arts Council for allowing us to play today here at the celebration of Etheridge Night. So today we're gonna be doing a little West Coast tribute because West Coast kind of been winning. We love Kendrick, hippie, and yeah. And also just a little bit of Prince at the end. So the songs in our West Coast tribute, we're doing a little like just a little like vibe session with Ice Cube's Today Was a Good Day, going into California Love by Tupac and Dr. Dre, then Not Like Us by Kendrick, as well as Love with Kendrick, and ending off that tribute with a Dr. Dre little mix, and then I Would Die For You by Prince. Yes. Because Prince is great. We love Prince. Yeah. So once we are all set up, we will start playing.
just want to say just how proud I am of these students. All of them are just extraordinary students, brilliant in heart and mind, musicianship, and it's been just wonderful to form a beautiful community. We are the first hip hop ensemble at Butler. Wow. So, so I'm very grateful. Now in our second semester, we have one student who's actually graduating. Martine, just a genius. So Martine's gonna be graduating next week. But I'm just really proud of all of them. So yeah, this is our school is out next week, so this is our final hurrah.
I'm just scoot this over a little bit.
Thank you for letting us play today. I hope you really enjoyed it. And weren't just having fun. Thank you. Yay.
Right, folks, another round of applause for Eagles all. We got a picture up here. We have no more starving artists in this city.
That's right, that's right. That's right.
Thank
Walk around,
everybody for
have to
coming
walk
out
around with that
today.
box.
We want to go around and thank our sponsors again, the National Endowment for the Arts, the Hurston Wright Foundation, Kemper Institute, Center for Black Literature and Culture, Indie Arts Council, Butler University's Hub for Black Affairs and Community Engagement, and Word as Bond. And one thing you can see right here, we have some surveys in the room. We got some ones back there, QR codes. These surveys are not the surveys that you get on the Wendy's receipt, so you can get a free coffee. This is to help funders see the impacts that the programming is having, so they can keep funding things, because nobody wants to fund this stuff anymore. So let's give them every reason to do so. We also want to thank the entire Knight family, those that are here and those that are. All the performers today, the hip hop ensemble, Manon Boyd's Word is Bond, and Matt Davis. Give them a round of applause. And last but not least, let's give our biggest round of applause to Etheridge Night, everybody. All right, folks, thank you so much for sitting. Please stay tuned for all the things that are going to be coming up. Have a great evening. There we go. Weekend. I'm trying.
Both these centers and the tip box is still open. Get my jacket if I don't go get it right now. Where did he end up on? And was that one?
You know who I am?
Thank you, I appreciate it. Grateful that I have it, so much better audiences than like our classmates, like in the beginning. Program like for a year.